Hello again. This time I'm going to read you a couple of short excerpts from my book, Gina Johnson. A 22-year-old, born of Jamaican parents in London. And the scene is the millennium. Now, many people could live to be 99 and not experience a millennium New Year's night. For Gina, 2000 New Year's night is going to help her fulfill her astrological prophecy that her future happiness depends on her celebrating the millennium with a boyfriend. Now, she accepts an invitation to a champagne event at a hotel, and with ticket in hand, she agrees to meet at the hotel as her date was visiting his mother before joining her. I'll just read the excerpts. Your ticket, please. Mervyn handed the ticket over to the young lady. The wrinkling of her forehead told him something was wrong. I am sorry, sir, but you're at the wrong hotel, the lady said, with a hint of sadness. What do you mean, wrong hotel? This is the Maple Place, sir. Your booking is for the Maple Plaza. Step aside, please, sir. Mervyn looked closely at the ticket and realized it was indeed for the Maple Plaza. Since he knew the hotel, he hadn't paid close attention to the writing of the address, which was in very fine print. You didn't make the booking with us, sir. You have to take it up with the agent you made the booking with. This is the Maple Place Hotel. Surely you can see that. Now, will you please step aside, sir? If Mervyn had looked at the booking confirmation properly, he would have seen that it was indeed a booking for the Maple Plaza. He kept staring at the sheet of paper as if his stare would change the venue written on it. The lady's gentle head movement to someone behind him caught Mervyn's attention. Before he could move, the man who had earlier told him to join the queue whispered to him, "We've had a few like you trying it on. You don't want to be further embarrassed now, do you, sir?" Mervyn wanted to ask him what he meant by a few like you, but he recognized his priority was to get to the Maple Plaza, and fast. He wanted to check the address of the Maple Plaza, but he couldn't read the fine print on the move. He managed to show the man his booking and explained it was a simple mistake. He approached the door to exit the hotel. The plaza is a grubby little place in comparison to this. It overlooks Hunter's Park, said the man as he followed Mervyn to the exit. Once outside, the tears began to flow. As the first taxi dropped off its passengers, Mervyn jumped in. How long will it take to get to the Maple Plaza? He asked. 25 minutes or so. Looking at his watch, the taxi driver shouted amidst laughter, You as well. At least I won't be seeing the millennium on my own. The plaza must have made a packet out of this scam. Scam? Shouted Mervyn. Look. Just look how it's written, said the taxi driver. It's made to look like the place. Same color and everything. but you can't even make out the address. You can't do anything about it though. If you look closely, the correct postcode is written at the bottom. We're going to Hunters Park. Oh my God, North London, said Mervyn, throwing himself back in the seat. Don't know what you paid, but that alone should have told you something was wrong. The place would set you back loads. The plaza? Well. Meanwhile, at the Maple Plaza, Gina walked to the doorway over and over again, clenching and then clenching her fist, clenching her teeth so hard that her jaw began to ache. So, like me, you're still waiting for your date, right? Said the black young man Gina had noticed earlier. She was taken aback by his calmness and sweet smile and didn't know what to say. These things do happen, you know. Oh yes, they do. Everything that someone can think of writing about can happen in reality. Good evening, said Gina calmly. So sorry. Good evening, fair damsel. This is all a big joke to you, isn't it? Not at all. But if our dates don't turn up, then it's the universe at work, putting us together, he replied. You're nuts. Leave me alone. It makes no difference what the reasons are for them being absent. It's destiny at work. Are you for real? Look, we are on the verge of being saved from a terrible mistake we would have made. Trust me. No, trust the universe. You must be drunk or on drugs. That's just a coward's way of dealing with matters of the heart. Just leave me alone. She took a couple of steps away from him and looked up at the clock. Why not just deposit your handbag? Free your hands. It might help you free your mind, he advised. If you don't get away from me, I'll call security. Okay, see you later. Gina gritted her teeth again at the last remark. It was as if the young man had not heard a single word she had said. As he went out of view inside the room, Gina deposited her handbag and checked the reception to see if Mervyn had telephoned. The start of the loudspeaker announcement startled her. Gina delayed her entrance so much that by the time she entered the room, nearly everyone had their glass of bubbly in fake champagne glasses made out of plastic. She quickly took hers from the waiter and watched as the young man approached her again, less boldly than before, but still with a smile. Gina looked up at the clock. It was 11:55. She wanted to leave, but thought, what if Mervyn arrives as I leave? Before she could think of anything else, she heard, My name is Brendan. It is the will of the gods. Pardon? Brendan Tully. My friends call me BT. You know, British Telecom. They think it's a big joke. Gina surprised herself with a smile. Look, he said, we have a choice. We could start the millennium, miserable, or we could start it with just a teeny weeny bit of joy. You never know. It could develop into a big joy. Gina tried to avoid his gaze, but found it impossible. Look, this is happening for a reason, he continued. With that, he offered Gina his arm. She hesitated before gently resting a hand on his wrist, like a lady being led out to the dance floor. They walked into the Malvern room together. Although Gina looked over her shoulder a few times just in case Melvin had arrived, she noticed that Brendan never once did so, as if he was already sure his date wouldn't be turning up. Gina was pleased she would not be starting the millennium alone. She felt the astrological prophecy was being fulfilled, even if the person wasn't Mervyn. Gina was content to be in the room, simply in the room. Brendan, however, was intent on being deep into the room, as if he wanted to be lost in the midst of the crowd. Progress into the center was slow, but still he edged forward, slightly ahead of Gina, shielding her from the bumps as they moved along. As Big Ben on the TV screen struck 12, the lights went out as if there was a power cut, only to return moments later, but dimmer than before. They watched as folks around them hugged and kissed each other. Gina found herself squeezing Brendan's hand. He noticed the rapid reflections of the TV screen in her eyes and hoped his smile was getting through to her. He waited nervously for an indication of what he might be allowed to do. She smiled and nestled her head in his neck, only to move it as several people wished her Happy New Year. They sang Auld Lang Syne and at the end shook hands and wished those close by Happy New Year. Brendan moved his arm to her waist and gently squeezed her towards his side. He was just about to steal a kiss when his hand brushed one of her breasts. He tried to step aside as an apology, but there was nowhere to go. He was both pleased and surprised when Gina took hold of his hand and put it around her waist, held it there before resting her head in his neck again. They remained in their private silence among the noise of those around them and the blast and flashes of the fireworks display that darted out of the TV screen. Gina suddenly raised her head from Brendan's neck and noticed that his bravado had deserted him. She watched as he dabbed his tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much for being here," he said. "Thank you too. You have no idea how sharing the millennium with someone, well, with you, means to me," she replied. "Maybe one day I will. Who knows?" Brendan took Gina's hand in the manner a groom takes his new bride's hand to put the wedding ring on. Gina stiffened in a moment of apprehension, but she did not pull her hand away. Brendan patted her hand, trapping it in both of his. "I know you do not believe this, but take it from me. We're here because the universe has decreed that it be so. It doesn't matter what we do. I believe we will eventually be together. I won't pressure you. All I ask is that you don't fight it. Just go with it. Go with the flow." "You sound like an old man. Don't you think you're overdoing it a bit?" "I have no way of knowing. I am just doing what I am destined to do. Say what I'm destined to say. I have no way of passing judgment." "You're beginning to worry me. Really, I mean that," said Gina. "Good night, fair damsel." With that, he placed a piece of paper with his name, address, and telephone number in her hand, turned, and walked out of the room. She thought he must have written it earlier, after they first spoke. Then it dawned on her that she was now on her own. Brendan hadn't bothered to inquire where she lived or how she would be getting home. She was confused. Now, this story really is about the complicated relationships that Gina gets involved with these two suitors, and how her relationships create difficulties with her aunt, who was her guardian. Difficulties really that neither Gina nor her aunt could have foreseen. I hope you enjoyed that little read, and maybe you might choose to have a read of the book, Gina Johnson, by Roger H. Panton. It's on Amazon Kindle.